Welcome back everyone, Ronin here. Gonna do my second character build, basically based off of what I played on my first run. This is my Battle Mage, but again, I play CC heavy, so I'm not really gonna go into the stats here, but just know that mainly strength and intelligence were about on par. I think it's around 30 each on my main playthrough. And memories around there, like I have a lot of slots, but that's how I was pretty much playing. I play with very low constitution, so a lot of the comments I get, it's like, oh yeah, but the damage, but I also don't put points in constitution, so I focus on crowd control mainly on this build, or at least my first run. As far as weapon-wise, you can put them wherever. I have 25 here. By the end of the game, I think it's very easy to get to with gear. Now, there's no point going to 10 unless you're just really going for that damage in that specific tree, but I found that going hybrid was actually a pretty good way to go. So I lose out on 25% damage, but I don't think it's a big deal when you're playing a arrow hydro warfare build. Basically, you're the king of crowd control. Whether it's knockdown, stun, freeze, you have it all on this class. So you really don't need that damage output because nothing should be hitting you. So arrow 5, I put Geomancer at 2 for certain skills, mainly as a support role. I also have Huntsman 1. If you want to go with the tactical retreat on your build, it's going to cost you an extra point. But that's really not a big deal. You could actually just take that out entirely if you want. The main reason I have this is for first aid right now. Alright, Hydro I got it to 5 so I can get Hail. Necro I got it to 2 for a little bit of self-healing. And the Corpse Widow. I think it's Corpse Widow. Polymorph 3. There's a lot of cool skills in Polymorph that will add to this build, and again, it's more control, and it's some of the skills that I'm finding out on Game Master mode that I didn't even know were available in the game. So it's pretty cool to go check out Game Master mode and check out the skills that are available to us. Didn't put any points in Pyro. It goes against Arrow and Hydro. Well, not really Arrow, but it goes against Hydro, so it doesn't synergize well. 2 points in Scoundrel for at least Adrenaline. I'm trying to think, maybe also another jump, but other than that, I wouldn't go too much more in this unless you're really making a crit build. There's probably other ways to make a crit build with this. Likely you wouldn't be using a shield. No points in summoning because I found that I like the Corpse Widow better for my summon, so I don't need to put points in summoning when I'm just gonna get the Corpse Spider and then get some healing back at the same time. My hero benefits more from it. This, only your summon benefits from it, so your hero doesn't really benefit from this at all. So unless you're playing Incarnate heavy, I'm not liking this at all actually. Incarnate is great in the beginning of the game. It gives you a bit of a boost, so if you want to play with Incarnate up until you get to the ship, sure, and then just respec. Warfare 5, it's mainly to get overpower on my build, and it gives you a bit more physical damage. Just keep in mind that on this build, you're the all-around character to do everything. Physical, magic, crowd control, you're the guy for the group. So this is a really good versatile build. Again, this is what I like to play anyway. And you're not expected to be doing the massive amount of damage, but even then, you'll be doing a lot of damage with your Hydro, with Hail, and other skills late game. So I wouldn't be too concerned at all with the damage output of this, because you're so versatile. You just go for the enemy's weakness. Instead of going for a knight that has 10k armor, and then you're another knight that just has physical damage, and there's nothing you can do, you can just switch it up, and then you do the same for another target. It's just so versatile. I really love the Battle Mage in this game. Here, I should probably not have put this. I put it in case just you'd like to move around. You probably won't need it on this class. You have a shield anyway. You can take at least 1 or 2 hits. So this is totally optional. The rest are what I think are probably the best skills for this build. And I'm going to cover another one also. Elemental Affinity. Really love this skill. It is so good. Like if you're standing in blood, your blood skills will cost less. If I decide to make Winter Blast and then I have some ice. Alright. So it didn't fall down. Awesome. So then my skills will cost less to cast, which is amazing if you're loaded. If you're really loaded on these skills, it's really good because even in the water, it's gonna stay there. The water still counts. It doesn't have to be ice. And then when you're done, you can electrify this puddle to then transfer over to your arrow skills. And it's not too hard to do that. Say that your puddle is really large. Yay, the webs are gone. So even if I were to hit him with discharge, this is electrified. Now discharge would only cost 1. The dazing bolt costs 2. Like, this is amazing. And if you have a high enough magic armor, or worst case, just cast Armor of Frost, which is still only 1 AP, then you won't have to worry about this because you'll have enough to sustain yourself in that electrical puddle. And in turn-based mode, not real-time mode, it sticks around for 2-3 turns anyway. So you can just go to town with the one and then transfer over to the other, and you're just doing a lot of damage with, or even crowd control. You're doing a lot with less AP because of elemental affinity. And this goes so well with any spell. And there's so many ways you can use it. Even in blood, you can then use contamination. Yeah, contamination. And contamination can turn into poison, and then you can go do your earth spells. Alright, Far Out Man, because you're going to be doing a lot of ranged attacks, Far Out Man is like a must. Be able to shoot at, what is this, like 18 meters? Okay, 15 meters. Like, that's huge. If you have an end, well, with this skill, for example, if I want to shoot the spider, shoot this guy, and then shoot something that's over there. And then plus, because I was standing in water, it only cost me 2. The combination here is really good. Mnemonic is, it's better than All Skilled Up and Bigger and Better because it's 3 points. So instead of spending it on Bigger and Better, it gives you 2 points. 2 points is, you know, let's say you put on Memory 1 and then Intelligence 1, you're still short a point. You may as well go Mnemonic, 3 points, then your next level, put your points wherever else you want. I'm gonna go with this on every single build just because it's so useful to have the utility. That's basically a free level 3, was it level 3? I think they're level 5 actually. Highest tier source skill. One of these skills takes 3 slots. That skill, Mnemonic, is basically a free slot for that. Alright, Opportunist, you don't have to have it. It depends on what class you started off with. You may end up having it just because of that. It's handy, but I noticed that towards the end of the game, I was more or less a ranged character with all my abilities. It's pretty rare that I went melee on an enemy. I had so many skills. I would be in melee range, so it's good to tie up the enemy, but it's not a necessity on this build. It's just nice to have. Savage Sortilege, I only put this one there if you're going to be building a crit build, which means fairly high wit, crit gear, and maybe some points into actually crit chance in your weapons. The only crit chance you can put is through wit and gear to be efficient anyway. So you could go with Savage Sortilege for the crit chance. The crits are nice on spells, I have to admit. That boosts your damage right away. Rather than not putting any crit chance on your mage. The pawn is great for everyone, especially early game. You're likely going to be a warrior at the start, and then you're going to dabble into spells, and the warrior early game really has nothing to close the gap to move around the field. So the pawn is really good to get that small, you know, a little small. 5 meters is not that small anyway, to get that 1 AP every turn. So it's really handy just to get that extra 5 meters on your cast. Maybe climb a ladder for free, and then you have the height advantage against the enemy. Now, there's a lot of these that I find are kind of okay. With the limited amount of points you have to put in here, these are probably the best to go with. I would not go Lone Wolf because I find it's too strong. Glass Cannon for this one, likely not. It's nice to have the extra AP, but then I don't want to get CC'd. It's not like it's a class that you hide from the enemy, really. You can, but I find it's a class that you build a semi-tank character so that you can take a hit rather than your rogue or your actual like hard mage. But that's mainly because of the shield. I don't put Constitution. And the reason, or one of the skills that people are all talking about right now in my comments, it's the Picture of Health. Sure, it's nice. You know, 15% more HP, or 15%. 3% per point, sure. Nice. But is it really necessary? I don't think so. If you put 10 points into Warfare, then yeah, maybe why not? I mean, it's extra HP. But I find that typically when my armor is gone, I get CC'd anyways, or I get locked into combat. I don't think it's that necessary. My plan for me is to not get hit, or get hit as little as possible. It's pretty risky, but if your plan is just to tank all the shots and just go toe-to-toe with the enemy, then yes, go with this one. And I just noticed also, living armor would be really good because there's a lot of healing on this class. All the healing would actually boost your magic armor and would help you when you're standing in a puddle of electrified water. Although this didn't work, what if I use Dazzling Bolt? There we go. So having that skill will actually help. All right, on to the skills. This should be faster than the last guide. No, I'll just go with what I have, and you can see if there's a check mark, it just means it's on the bar, and it's probably one of the ones I think is better suited for all around. But then again, there's so many ways you can change these. If you don't feel you need 2 jumps, which I have 2. With the range, you may not even need 2 jumps, so that's maybe a wasted slot. Battering ram is, I won't use it that often late game. I find the damage is a bit low, and it can miss. But the fact that it does a knockdown, it's a really good skill to just have handy. In case the physical armor is removed, you knock them down. You can knock down multiple enemies. Battle Stomp, same idea, but I feel like it does more damage, and it doesn't miss. The nice thing about this too is it'll remove terrain, so be careful if you're relying on that water to save the AP with elemental affinity. Be careful with that. But it's really good if there's fire all along the way and you try to cut a path. Crippling Blow, I have it, but after the first act, I don't really use it all that much. They nerfed the range for the AoE of it, and it's pretty bad for a melee class to do Cripple. I'm pretty sure Cripple used to do something else than just they can't move. So now basically, if you cripple a melee enemy near you and you don't move away from it, it's just going to attack you. The nice thing with Cripple though, you're in melee, you can walk away. Opportunity should not work. It should cancel out opportunity on the enemy that you cast this on. If there are enemies that are really close together, like basically holding hands, it'll attack both of them. Alright, Blitz Attack. This skill is nice, but I find it's a little weak. But mainly, I think it's for a two-handed build. I think it's a hard-hitting build that would require this. I'm going to try it on actually a two-handed warrior and see if it's actually good. I just feel like it's lacking a little bit of damage. Especially compared to the Bouncing Shield, which does almost the same thing, except it doesn't move you. Just on this guy, 37. For a similar level gear, my dagger, because I didn't change it from yesterday, did 7 there. It's not a backstab though. 7, 11. You know what I mean? Like, that shield is doing a crazy amount of damage. It's one of my favorite warrior skills right now, next to Battle Stomp. Whirlwind, again, I think it's a two-handed warrior skill, but it's nice to have in the early game because it gives you an AoE attack. Guardian Angel, if you plan on being more of a tank build than I play, then why not put this and then stick close to your allies? The only thing I don't like about this is if somebody does an AoE attack, let's say I would do Winter Blast down here. Well, your mage or your battle mage is going to take actually more damage because, well, that one doesn't work, but because let's say you're sharing damage with this one and he's going to take half the damage, but you're going to take half his damage plus the damage you're taking. So you're taking 150% damage, just saving that one the damage. Hopefully that makes sense. Like, if I were to hit him with an ice fan, or if I were to do hail, and we both get hit, technically his 11 would turn into, like, I'd say a 5.5, and then my 9 would turn into a 14.5. So just be careful with that. You exploit that on enemies that cast it in late game. Alright, Phoenix Dive. Really good jump ability, but you don't get it till Act 2. By then, you'll likely have either Tactical Retreat, Cloak and Dagger, or even Wings. They're all accessible in Act 1, unless you get really lucky find. Deflective Barrier. I stopped using it because I found 2 shields in my run that had this as a skill that was built into it. It looked like it was always on, but I think it was a lie. So I'd have to retry this one. Enemies in the late game use this a lot. And you'd be surprised, Ice Fan is a projectile, so these will bounce back to you. But skills like Winter Blast are not. so this won't bounce back to you. So anything that is projectile-like, even hail, this, because it's not coming from you, it's still a projectile, the damage bounces back to you. So just be aware of that. It seems like a really good skill. I found it didn't really work that well on the shields that I found had it on. So I'm going to put it on. It's 2 AP though, but it lasts for 3 turns. That protects you from ranged abilities, and you're not really a melee character anyway. You're more or less a mid-range warrior. I think it'd be worth the investment. Alright, first aid, again, like I said in my rogue video, just to pick somebody up or to heal somebody, extra damage on undead. It's nice to have that 1 point in Huntsman for it, because 1 AP to pick somebody up that's knocked down, that's amazing. Remove blind. It also removes, I don't think it says it here actually. It says crippled. Yeah, it doesn't say it, but atrophy. I've seen rangers use it, so when you remove their weapon, they just cast first aid, it removes atrophy, and then it can shoot you again. So that 1 AP basically saves their whole turn. Tactical retreat, it's just another jump, plus it casts haste, so that you're actually going to move a lot farther. My movement is 5.6. If I cast tactical retreat, my move speed is now 7.6. So that's +2. I mean, +2 is pretty decent on 1 turn. Adrenaline, again, one of the skills I'll have on everyone. Chloroform, I'll have it on everyone just because of how it works. That sleep is just so nice. From a range standpoint, having sleep for 1 AP is amazing. And you only need 1 point in Scoundrel. So really, I don't see why any build can't benefit from this. This is almost a must if you plan on controlling the field. That's what I mean, like, why worry about damage when for 1 AP, you just sleep this target, and then move on to this one. And then likely, I don't know if I have enough damage, but then probably frozen. No, not far off, so another character could probably freeze them. Cloak and Dagger, depends on which jump you want to go with. If you plan on sneaking and jumping, then that's the one you want. Cleanse Wounds is really good. Again, I had it on my rogue. I'm going to have it on everyone that has Warfare. It does a heal, but it's not just that heal. It's that it removes disease and Decaying Touch. It's the only heal I know of that will go through Decaying Touch. Healing Tears, I just found this one out. I didn't really realize this one was available. It's Polymorph and Hydro. And it looks like, or at least it says, whenever an ally walks into this circle, they get a heal. I don't see it working. These are allies to me right now, but it's not working. So I'm curious, and I'm going to try it on my main run and see how well it works. So something to look into if you're planning on not making a warrior warfare build, and you still have a polymorph point and a hydro point. This could work out pretty well. I'm not sure if it will affect undead though. So something I'll have to write down and check on my main run. Vampiric Hunger, if you feel you need more damage or more healing from the damage that you put out. Which means that you don't really need that many points into Necro, because this is 5 points into Necro. So if you're not going that path, just give yourself Vampiric Hunger. Armor of Frost, really good to have on at least 2 characters, I would say, to remove burning, poisoned, stunned, frozen, suffocating, and petrified. This, again, for 1 AP, saves one of your other characters. So it saves you 4 AP, or really 3. Yeah, it saves you 3 AP. It costs you 1, but you're gaining 4. So it's a good gain if somebody just got CC'd after you. Hail Strike, I used to hate. And that's because the actual skill wasn't really accurate. Now it is. Like, I didn't hit him. It was pretty close. I didn't hit him. And the scaling, at first you're like, oh, it only does like 11 damage. Big deal. Late game, I don't know. The scaling, how it works, maybe it's exponential or something. It does a good amount of damage. It's really good if you're standing in the water or on ice, because it removes that 1 AP that I thought was a bit too much. But could you imagine if it was only 2 AP and then you can hit something like this, and because you're standing on this is 1 AP? I mean, it's the same strength as Ice Fan, except you don't control it, and you can hit, like I said yesterday, there's certain skills that are just great for that, like Impalement. Well, this is the equivalent. Because here, I'm going to hit the wagon. This skill will not make it past the wagon. You can see it getting stuck there unless I find those sweet spots, right? But with Hail Strike, it doesn't matter. I can hit anywhere I want. Just be careful. Sometimes a tree or a fence might rob you from that one hit. Like if I were to send it here, they're gonna hit the fence, so it might not hit your target. Just be mindful of that. But other than that, like it's the skill for this tree. Same with Winter Blast, and Winter Blast doesn't hit allies. You can cast it on yourself if you're surrounded, and it won't do anything to you. It'll only hit the enemy, which is pretty cool. Rain, if you're gonna be playing this class, may as well have at least one character with Rain, or any group you're playing with. It's nice to have to remove the fire after a fight, or even during a fight. Just remove the fire. Unless you're playing Pyro, then you kind of need the fire. But then this will benefit you for 1 AP. It'll benefit you, and for me and my group, I had 2 Arrow Hydro characters. So both of them were benefiting from Elemental Affinity, which is the 1 cast of an AP skill. So really good to add. It also spots out invisible enemies. So if there's an enemy that goes invisible, and you want to know where he is, cast Rain. So within that circle, I mean, that's pretty big. You're going to see him. Like, that's a 10-meter circle, I think. It's a 20-meter diameter. So anything in that 20-meter diameter gets wet and gets popped up. Really good. Alright, Restoration, a must on all my characters. It's only 1 point in Hydro. It's hard hitting on Undead. So may as well cast it. It'll remove their shields really quick. And it's so cheap to use. Ice Fan, I just showed it a few times. It's basically hail, but directional. You can choose where you send it. Again, so it should be 3 AP. But if you're standing in water, it's actually worth it. Right there, 3. So it might seem like it costs a lot in the beginning, but get that Elemental Affinity. Soothing Cold, really good if you're just starting the fight and your allies are pretty close. You cast it in the beginning of the fight, move on, just start fighting, and for the course of 3 turns, you can restore a bit of magic armor, which keeps you going without getting CC'd. Winter Blast, just covered it. It does a lot of damage. It seems like it does more than these. It costs less AP, which is nice. So if you're in water, it's only 1. And it doesn't hit your allies. You can drop it right on top of any ally and you'll be fine. Cryogenic Stasis, I haven't really tried it. It feels like in XCOM 2 where you cast that 1 skill that makes someone immune to damage for 1 turn. That's what it feels like. And if somebody is really weak or about to die, I'd say cast it on them and they should survive. Let's see, what's the range? The range is big. Oh, I can cast on neutral anyway. Now you should be immune to damage. Didn't have time to cast anyway, so big deal. But, I mean, it could save somebody's life for 2 AP. 1 if you're standing in the water. Deep Freeze, I have not used this one either. It says a cone, and so it's like Fire Breath or Battle Stomp. But anything in here that is less than 10% HP will shatter and die. But by then, like, are you using a skill that costs 4 AP to do that? Like, that seems excessive. And it does about the same amount of damage as... Actually, it does more damage. It's, yeah, quite a bit more damage than Winter Blast. But per AP, it does less. So again, you want to be in water for that. Global Cooling, good skill to have. Same thing, it will spot out enemies that are around you that just went invisible. And it'll freeze all the surfaces. Ritual Healing. If I cast it on this, I'm not sure if the Widow is undead. It should be. So I actually did damage, but then it bounces back. So it knows the difference between undead and not. So if I were to cast it on him first, it would not heal him. So always cast it on undead. Just to make sure you're doing the damage that you may be trying to go for. Because you want to control who's getting healed. Let's say 4 of your characters are weak. It might consider to go to your 4 characters to heal them first. But if you want to get a kill or do more damage out of it, like right now, it wouldn't go because this is a friendly. So it'll just bounce back to me. If this was an enemy, it may have bounced there. But depending on the range, it may not come back. Smoke cover, covered that yesterday. Nice to have, but it's just right on top of you. So if you do it, you have to move. For that, I'd rather have the AoE one that does the blessed smoke, although it costs source. Alright, Tornado, a must-have. You need to have Tornado on at least 1 character. It's the only thing that will remove lava. And I say remove, not move it. And same with any of the Necrofire, any of the cursed surfaces. Tornado will get rid of it. Just be careful if you're benefiting from the surface that you're standing on. But this is a must when you're dealing with enemies that respawn in cursed surfaces. And if you're anywhere near lava and you don't really know what to do, water won't do it, ice won't do it, you need tornado. The only thing I hate about this is the cooldown. The cooldown's 10 turns. That's an eternity in combat. That you only get one shot. One opportunity. I have Uncanny Evasion, but on this build, oh, 100%. That's weird. I thought must scale with my stats. On this build, because I do a lot of crowd control, I don't think I need it, but for 1 AP, it doesn't hurt to put it on. Yeah, I don't know. I can't really bash it, other than it takes away a slot from my build, because I won't likely use it unless I failed at CCing something. Blinding Radiance. Since you're going to be more of a melee mage, this skill is amazing. It's comparable to Medusa Head. The only thing, because it does blind instead of petrify, the only thing is it costs less AP. It's 2, and it does this thing for 1 turn. I thought it lasted 2. I think it, like, you do it, then it lasts through the other turn. That's how it used to be. The Medusa Head, it's nice, but it's 4 AP to do the same thing this does, except its range is bigger at the same time. So, damage type. But blind is really good because the enemies can't really do much in range, so they have to walk up to you to attack you, and then their chance to hit is drastically reduced. So it'll help you if you're fighting against mages. And if they are far away and they move up to you, and then their magic armor is at 0, then they will become blind as they walk up to you. Electric Discharge, pretty easy. I used it a few times to try to electrocute this guy and create a puddle. Just your basic discharge of electricity. AoE, well, small AoE damage. It's not single target, but it's not a massive range either. You can likely hit your own people with it, so be careful if you're hitting a melee crowd. I have Shocking Touch, and that's a really short range. It does not benefit from Far Out Man, which sucks, but that was OP in the first game anyway. It's a strong attack for 2 AP. If you're standing in electrified surfaces, then only 1, it's amazing. And it's a really strong stun. I'm pretty sure it will sets shock, but if they're standing in water, it should set stun actually. Dazing Bolt, at first I was like, wow, it costs too much. Dazing Bolt is the equivalent to the other skills that can hit from behind surfaces. The nice thing, again, if you're electrified, costs less, but you can hit from everywhere. It's pretty strong, but I find it's not accurate. Like here, I did it for both. What I think happens, here it shows that it's gonna hit both. I think what happens is it will bounce to one of the two. So either the one you're closest to, like even if I do it here, it shouldn't hit me. This is what I think happens. It's gonna lock onto one of the two, and then that circle will then hit everything in that circle. So the circle is about the same size as this one. So it's just gonna move that circle to that area. So if I were to move a little bit closer and use it again, but if I use it again, I'm gonna hit both of us. Because I'm within that circle. I could have cast it over here, it was gonna hit both of us. Teleport, useful for anything, you move people around, love it. Bring it on everyone if you can. It helps you control the fight. Same with Nether Swap is nice, it's only 1 AP. Doesn't do any damage, but Teleport got nerfed to shit with damage anyway. Only does like 20 or maybe 30 by end game, I found. But this gives you a good way to set up a group and then just AoE them down with all your skills, or an extra move to get out of dodge. Superconductor, it's equivalent to blades from the rogue. Pretty big range. You should see a line, and then if there's an enemy behind them, it's actually gonna only hit one. So you want to make sure you get a clear line on all the enemies that you're trying to do this on. It's pretty easy to start doing a stun chain on enemies once you have electrified ground underneath you. The Geomantic Skills were basically for Fortify, Impalement. Not that Impalement's a big thing here if you have somebody else to do it, but the oil is always nice. Or, like I said yesterday, the Inwebbed. So the spider legs are pretty good for this too. Same effect, just no damage. And since you're an int-based character, the damage is a lot nicer on this than on the rogue was. Men Metal, same thing as Soothing Cold, just for physical damage. So when your group is close together, so it's gonna do pretty good while it has no armor. Fail. Bone Cage, I put it on there because if you're gonna be a melee character, things are gonna die around you, may as well get the armor out of them. I mean, unless you're gonna be going Corpse Explosion, but you're not really a Necro. It's a way to help yourself keep that physical armor up. Chameleon Cloak, why not? It gives you a way to get out of things, and it's 1 AP just to stay safe, especially if you're playing with low constitution builds. Chicken Claw, turn the enemy into a chicken. Amazing on any build that has poly, and it's only 1 point. So anybody that does physical damage could use this, because it's one of the very few skills that, especially early game, that lasts for 2 turns. For 2 turns, you have a chicken running around, and this could help your ally that's a rogue that may not have enough points to do Chicken Claw and Rupture Tendon, and then you do it for him. He shows up, does Rupture Tendon, chicken runs and probably kills itself. Decaying Touch, after finding out it does actual physical damage, this is amazing. I did not realize it did that much damage. But the piercing spells, like we covered yesterday, it does not work. But it's a good skill to have if you plan on having a lot of healers, because these healing skills do a lot of damage for costing low AP. Flay Skin, just to reduce that magic armor. Not that you'll need to reduce magic armor damage, because this is not a magic damage skill, it's just a magic armor damage. But once that armor is lowered and you want to reduce those resistances, especially since you're a powerhouse in Hydro and Arrow, which are my 2 favorite skill trees for any casters. Heart of Steel, don't really like it, because if I have Bone Cage, but let's say you did not go that path, you don't have Bone Cage, you don't have Fortify or Mend Metal, you could use Heart of Steel on yourself. I mean, it's not as good, it lasts 1 extra turn, but it costs 2 AP, and Mend Metal costs 1 AP. So for that reason, I wouldn't go with it, but it's just a consideration in case you didn't go Geo at all. Living on the Edge, great to survive, but I've yet to use it actually, so if you're playing a Kamikaze class, sure. I find that 3 AP is a bit much, but if there's blood around you, and you have the Elemental Affinity, this is a great way to go. Medusa for the CC Petrify, it's amazing. Anybody that comes close to you that has no magic armor gets petrified, same idea as Blinding Radiance. And then you have that other ability, I'm not sure what the name, I think it's Visage, so you cast it. Anybody around you that has no magic armor would go petrified. And yes, Petrifying Visage, Visage, the range is huge, and then it's going to do damage. Alright, so it is Bone Widow. This is what's going to replace my Incarnate for most of my builds. And like I said before, not having a magic armor is not a big deal. Again, try to stand on blood if you can, just to save that 1 AP. And that's where the pawn is really good for this. Let's say you have a puddle of blood over here. You just walk over here, 2 meters, and then walk back to the water if you need to, without costing any AP, and you get to cast different schools of spells with that Elemental Affinity. Spider Legs for the Unwebbed, really good. It may actually remove the Impalement for me. The only thing I'm not sure with, if I use it, I think you need Line of Sight compared to Impalement. In Impalement, you need to remove their magic armor. This you do not yet. You need Line of Sight. But I mean, being able to go through both armors is amazing. And then he can't move. And he's going to try to move. It might happen again. I'm not sure what the cooldown is in between casts. Like diminishing returns. Yeah, there's got to be a timer there, because he should be getting webbed again, or he has to move. So if he doesn't move, maybe he won't get webbed. It gives him a chance to jump. Alright, Tactical Lash, great early game skill for a disarm. And the scaling on that with strength is really amazing. The only thing that they nerfed is that you can't really use it from height, which sucks. It was kind of OP before, but it's still really well balanced. So anybody on the same plane as you will work really well. Terrain Transmutation, one of my not favorite skills. Kind of love-hate relationship. It's a great skill idea, but I think it's OP and it breaks the game. But you could use this to move, instead of Tornado, because it's a quick cooldown, to move terrains around. But this, yeah, it moved everything. I just put it in an awkward area. So water, oil, and web is there. It'll move it. The thing is, you can move lava. And because it moves lava, you can move lava underneath the character and it kills them. Which basically kills, and one-shots anything that you put the lava under. Okay, so some of these skills. Onslaught, I really like. I want to try it more. But this, again, is for a two-handed build, in my opinion. It's like Flurry, I think it's called. Rogue. But you don't need to be in the back. It's just, it says Finesse because I have a dagger on. Really cool skill. But again, I have to test it with a two-handed build. If you have a one-handed build, I don't think it's that strong. Thick of the Fight, great if you have people around you. Maybe if you have a summoner and you put more, the more the merrier around you, like totems even. Do that and then go, if you have enough, you can do these two skills one after the other for a massive amount of damage. This should also boost your spell damage, I would assume, which Enrage, that's why I don't have it, doesn't. It prevents you from casting spells. Mass Cleanse Wounds, I have it. I've used it. Unless they've changed it, it didn't do AoE damage on undead, which is kind of why I had it. I was a bit disappointed, but it will heal through Decaying Touch and remove diseased acid and all that. Too bad it costs a source point, but late game source points just really don't matter. You have so many of them. Vampiric Hunger Aura, instead of having just that one for one character, this does it for everyone, which is really nice. I mean, half your damage. Good way to sustain your party. Okay, Steam Lance, I did try it. Alright, so it does damage the undead, and it'll heal anything along the way. So if I do it here, it should damage this, kill it. Yeah, so it got fixed, I think. And then it heals him. And then it leaves Blessed Steam, which is amazing, because you can heal through it. So if you're playing an undead group, don't use it. This could be a pretty big buff in combat. Alright, Blessed Smoke, showed it yesterday. You can put the smoke wherever you want. Chain Lightning, much like in the first game, it'll jump pretty far. I don't know what the distance, it says an 8-meter radius. So anything in about 8 meters of that target will get hit. It's pretty handy, and it's not that expensive. 1 source point, so it's a good early source point skill. Vacuum Aura, I've yet to use it in combat. The range seems pretty big, so, and it causes suffocating. Just enemies, so it won't do damage if I use it right now. Silence and suffocating if it goes through the shield. 3 turns, I mean it's more damage than it lets on. That 20 to 23, it's gonna do a lot more damage than that. Well, the damage scaling is pretty bad here because my stats are not set up. Closed Circuit, I've yet to use this as well. Pretty sure, let's try it now. So it basically does a cursed electrified steam. So it should stay cursed. Cursed Grounds does not leave. I did not realize it was cursed. This is one of the few skills that will actually do cursed. Okay, it did go away though. It should stay longer, but anyway. There aren't many skills that will do cursed anything in the game that we have access to. We don't have access to the cursed skill itself, so Cursed Grounds are fairly rare. And it sets air immunity for 1 turn, so you can do it and then walk out of it without suffering from the cursed damage from it. The range is fairly small, but if you're going to be maybe jumping in to an area where there's multiple enemies, or you just pile them in with teleport and nether swap, and then you use it, I mean, it's not too hard to use, especially if you have adrenaline. It's only 2. Overpower is the one, especially if you use a shield, you're likely going to have a higher armor or physical armor than the enemy. So it can set knockdown, but if your physical armor is higher than the enemy's, it's going to remove all their physical armor. And it's pretty easy to be higher than the enemies when you have a shield. Shield just gives so much. Hailstorm, really nice skill. It's comparable to the first Hailstorm. Almost breaks the game. The nice thing is Source makes it so you can only use it once, really. Unless you have Apotheosis, and then you could probably use both of these, not in 1 turn, but once you cast one of these, the fight's pretty much over. If I use Hailstorm, the area is huge. Again, my scaling is low, but even at my low scaling, it did 140 damage on a single target, and a lot of them missed. Like, it hit all over the place. And then the final skill I have on my bar is the Thunderstorm. I'm not sure if it's going to hit him because he's not enemy. But look at that range. It's pretty nice. You can put it wherever. And I noticed even if you're really close to the enemy, okay, other than the ground being electrified, it didn't really hit me that much. He's moving out, but yeah, if he was an enemy. But then it lasts 3 turns. 3 waves? Yeah, there you go. 3 waves of damage. And it barely hit me. The only damage I took was from the electrified water. So you can be right next to an enemy, and it's gonna hit the enemies selectively. It's not random. It looks like it's random right now because I didn't have any enemies actually set up. But it will hit them and likely stun them all because they hit what, 5? So about 15 bolts in total over 3 turns. So it's a lot of CC right there. You can keep somebody stun locked for a long time. Love it. All right, hopefully this helps. This is my Battle Mage for crowd control. I actually had 2 of these guys basically on my run. Really handy, but it all depends on how you play. I'm playing a totally different way right now on my second run. So let me know what you think. how do you like to play your Battle Mage? Do you like to go Pyro heavy, maybe a Necro, which is what I'm trying to play right now, is the Necro heavy character? I just find there's just so many skills that I just want to play with because they're just so good. It's hard to pass up Teleport. It's hard to pass up Adrenaline. You know what I mean? Like, even Cleanse Wounds. I can't pass that up. Healing Ritual. Those skills are just so good that almost every run I play, I'm going to have those on my bar. Take care, everyone. Let me know what you think, and I'll catch you in the next one, which will be my, I guess, Summoner I built, and then my Ranger. Which my Ranger, I know a lot of people are not going to agree with, but, again, versatility is the theme here. Take care, have a good night, and I'll catch you all later.